Today we shall discuss the chapter Manufacturing Industries from your geography book. Let's start. What is manufacturing? We can understand this term in these three simple lines that I mentioned there. Processing of raw materials into finished products, production of goods in large quantities, and adding more value. So basically, what is manufacturing is converting raw materials into finished products, and thereby we are adding value to the raw materials. They are being made worth use, because we cannot use directly anything that is available in the nature or anything that is available in its raw form, right? That has to be converted into a finished product, and that's why things have to be made, and only then they can be put into some use, they can be consumed. Okay, so it is basically processing of raw materials into finished products in large quantities, and thereby adding value to it. So let us understand the importance of manufacturing. See, manufacturing, what it does basically, it modernizes agriculture. Okay, by providing tools, implements, for example, tractor or various implements are there which are manufactured in manufacturing industries, and they are there to change the way we do the agriculture. So agriculture, if we compare uh, the method of doing agriculture that we have today with that of the earlier time, then we find there is a drastic change. Now there is more mechanization of agriculture. So through mechanization, agriculture modernizes. Efficiency of agriculture improves. The time that earlier it used to take, like for example, harvesting the paddy field also, earlier it was done manually. Now it is being done with the help of tractors, or big combined machines are being used, right? So we can see the use of more machines, and use of more machine ultimately leads to modernizing of agriculture by reducing time and thereby increasing the efficiency, and making agriculture in a making agriculture uh, more effective, and output is also increased with more research being done in the research institutes, where new varieties of seeds are being developed, and thus increasing the productivity. Okay, and it also helps to reduce the dependence on agriculture, right? We can see that around 65% of the population engaged in agriculture. So and a lot many people are engaged in agriculture who are not even required. So those people can get jobs in secondary and tertiary sectors. Okay, they can get jobs in factories, and thereby by shifting people from the primary sector of agriculture to the secondary sector of manufacturing, and with that is related the tertiary sector, the service sector. So more and more people can be shifted to the secondary and tertiary sector. Industrial development is a precondition for eradication of unemployment and poverty from our country. So it's a precondition, it is a prerequisite. Manufacturing, industrial development is a prerequisite for the removal of unemployment, complete eradication of unemployment, because in a factory large number of people can be employed, right? If there is an industrial development, more industries would be set up, thus giving jobs to more number of people, and thereby when people are getting a regular source of income, obviously the standard of living improves, and it eliminates poverty as well, right? So export of manufactured goods expands trade and commerce and brings in much needed foreign exchange. So it is through manufacturing only when we convert raw materials into finished products, and after that we uh, export it to the other countries. Thus we get foreign exchange, which is much needed, right? A country's development is also judged uh, on this parameter, how much of it exports, okay, how much of finished products it exports. So countries that transform their raw materials into a wide variety of finished goods of higher value are prosperous. So we would find a situation of, you know, two countries, wherein one country, if it sells its raw materials to if it exports raw materials, then it would be said to be uh, a backward country which is having no technology of its own, no scientific or technological development of its own, because of which it is not able to harness its resources, and what it is doing, it is exporting the raw materials to other countries. Whereas a country with its raw materials, and more prosperity can be there, the country will be more prosperous, which has a larger proportion of things being exported to other countries. So interdependence of agriculture and industry. There is a correlation between agriculture and industry. We cannot say that they are exclusive of each other, rather they are interdependent on each other. See, the agro-based industries in India have given a major boost to agriculture by raising its productivity. See, the kind of as I had discussed earlier also, that the way we used to do agriculture earlier, that would take more time, and the productivity was also very low. Whereas with the introduction of machines into agriculture, with more mechanization, the efficacy has increased, and thereby the productivity of agriculture also has increased. They depend on agriculture for raw materials. So industries also depend on, many agro-based industries are there, they're dependent on agriculture for raw materials. They sell products such as irrigation, and manufacturing industries does what? They sell products such as irrigation pumps, fertilizers, insecticides, pesticides, plastic and PVC pipes, machines and tools to farmers. So both are dependent on each other. We would say, if agriculture provides raw materials to industries, industries provides uh, tools, implements, PVC pipes, right, and big machines, and thereby modernizing agriculture and also made the production process very efficient. This is what I've been talking about from the beginning. So it is crystal clear, I hope. Next point is urbanization and industrialization. See, they the process of urbanization and industrialization go hand in hand, right? How they go hand in hand, we can understand it through these points. After an industrial activity starts, right, it leads to urbanization, okay. Because once an industry is set up in an area, what happens, it gives employment to the people, large number of people, and when the people get job, they get a regular source of income, their standard of living also improves, and thus their way of life, also their way of livelihood, their living standards also changes from the rural to urban one. The way of their dressing, the way of eating, the way of their behavior, everything changes. So we can say that whenever an industry is set up, or a factory sets up, or a large number of such factories sets up, then it leads to more people getting employed there, and ensuring regular income, and thereby improving their standards of living, and also changing their way of life, okay. So thus industrialization and urbanization go hand in hand. cities provide markets, and I'm saying that urban centers industries are also dependent on near the big cities, right, near or around the big cities, as they provide markets and also provide services such as banking, insurance, transport, labor, consultants, and financial advisors to industries. So many industries, they tend to come together. You would often find that industries would tend to come together to set up in and around big cities, so that they continue to get services as what we have discussed in the point number 3: banking, insurance, transport, labor, consultants, and financial advisors. Okay. For that reason, many industries would get located. They would tend to come together and would locate around in and around major cities, right? And these are known as, these urban centers are known as agglomeration economies. Okay. Contribution of industry to national economy: over the last 2 decades, the share of manufacturing sector has stagnated at 17% of GDP. This is much lower in comparison to some East Asian economies, where it is 25 to 35%. Since 2003, manufacturing sector is once again going at the rate of 9 to 10% per annum. National Manufacturing Competitiveness Council (NMCC) has been set up with the objective of improving manufacturing growth. Okay. Location of industries: if we look at the factors which are responsible for the location of industries, they have been categorized under two uh, heads: geographical factors, materials is there, and availability of water, yes, of course, it's very important and crucial, and favorable climate, good climate. See, good climatic conditions, we can give you the example of, let's see, industries, the cotton textile industry is mainly located in Maharashtra and Gujarat region. The reason being because these are the cotton growing belts. Similarly, in the Hooghly basin, we have jute industry getting developed. The reason being because there is a favorable climate. There is the favorable climate leading to availability of raw materials, and we also see um, transport facilities, communication facilities, all these are there. Uh, and the other non-geographical factors, we talk about availability of electricity, cheap and skilled labor. Yes, the jute industry, which I was just now talking about, there is availability of cheap and skilled labor also. Transport and communication facilities, they are very much important, needed for the location of industries. So market, capital investment, and suitable government policies. Yes, behind all this, the suitable government policies plays a very crucial role, because without the government being liberal to the setting up of industries, probably we won't be able to see many industries, as we have seen in some cases, wherein a state government might be um, you know in a situation of not allowing a particular industry to set up in a state. Then in that scenario, that industry might not be set up there. So government permissions are required for industrial activity. So it's very important that the government aspects that they have to do, all the aspects such as what kind of industrial activity um, will be there, whether it is very very harmful to the environment, and if it is too harmful, then it cannot be allowed to locate near the populated areas. So government has to look at these issues also. Not only from the point of view of a capitalist, they might think that yes, an industry would set up, then they would give more employment, and without caring a bit for the environment. So that cannot be done by the government. The government has to look at all the aspects. Okay. So we won't say that all these factors will be available at one place, but it is just seen that maximum these factors maximum of these factors are available, so that industries can be located. Now in some cases we find that if there is no nearness to uh, uh, the availability of or see if nearness to availability of raw materials or nearness to market, in that case transport facility should be good. If transport is better and cheap, then in that case uh, the problem of raw materials being far away also can be uh, adjusted, can be dealt with, or the problem of market being far away can be adjusted or can be dealt with if better transport facilities are there, and provided that they are not only better, they are also cheap. Okay. Industrial location, here is another slide which talks the same thing, and let us just go through the main points. Location of an industry depends on various factors such as availability of raw materials, availability of cheap labor, their industries to locate near markets so that transportation costs reduce. That is there, of course. That's why I said the point that transportation should be cheap, and in the best of the best uh, transportation facility should be there. Okay, availability of adequate and swift means of transportation. Yes, exactly, this is what I'm talking about. I just talked about availability of adequate and swift means of transportation. So a very important factor which helps uh, an industry to locate. So industry market linkage, you can understand inputs, the raw materials or components, parts, factors of production, land, labor, capital, entrepreneur, infrastructure. So transport, factory, it go by transport it goes to factory. There uh, it is processed, products are readied, and then again transported to market. And when consumers or purchasers, they buy, and whatever money is earned, that money is again used to buy the inputs. Okay, clear? So this is the industry market linkage. An ideal location of industry, and industry, the central reason behind the location of an industry is the cost. The cost factor is very important. Any entrepreneur or any businessman or any industrialist would look at the cost factor most importantly. So cost of production at site, cost of obtaining raw materials at site, and cost of distribution of production. And very important is the decision is to locate factory at site. Analyzed all these three factors mentioned above, right? So let us discuss the classification of industries. The first classification here is on the basis of source of raw material. On the basis of source of raw materials, agro based uh, industries, they use agricultural materials such as cotton, wool, jute, silk, textile, rubber and sugar, tea, coffee, etc. Mineral based, they use minerals as raw materials, iron and steel, cement, aluminium, machine tools, etc. So you can understand that on the basis of source of raw materials, two categories of industries are there: agro based industries and mineral based industries. According to the main role, we have two categories: basic key industries. Basic or key industries, they supply their products or raw materials to manufacture other goods. So those industries which supply their products or raw materials to manufacture other goods, example iron and steel and copper smelting, aluminium smelting. Consumer industries are there, they produce goods for direct use by consumers, example sugar, toothpaste, paper, fans, etc. On the basis of capital investment, there are again two categories: small scale industries. If the investment is less than 1 crore, then it is known as a small scale industry run by less number of people, like Khansari, Gur, etc. um, Large scale industries, if the investment is more than 1 crore, then it is known as the large scale industries, where laborers are more. Example, cotton textile industry. Which are in which most of the assets are owned and operated by government agencies. Example, bail, sale, right? And we have private sector, owned and operated by individuals or a group of individuals. Example, Tisco, Bajaj Auto Limited, Auto Limited, Dabur Industries, Reliance. These are the examples. Okay, joint sector industries, the industries which are jointly run by the state and individuals or a group of individuals. Example, Oil India Limited, which is jointly owned by public and private sector. Cooperative sector, industries are owned and operated by producers or suppliers of raw materials, workers, or both. They pool in their resources and share the profits or losses proportionately, right? Example is the sugarcane industry in Maharashtra, the coir industry in Kerala. So there is another criteria for classifying industry, based on the bulk and weight of raw materials and finished goods. There are two categories of industries. Heavy industries use heavy and bulky raw materials and produce heavy materials. Example, iron and steel industry. And light industries use light raw materials and produce light materials. Example, electric fans, watches, sewing machines, etc. So in agro-based industries, we talk about the textile industry. The contribution to industrial production is 14%. Employment is 3.5 crore people. Foreign exchange earnings 24.6% approximately. Contribution to earlier, the hand spinning and weaving manually used to be done. After 18th century, power looms came, and there was a setback during the colonial rule due to the non-competitiveness with mill-made cloth, because mill-made cloths were cheap, right? And so we could not compete with them, as they produced more number of cloths with cheap prices. So those mill-made cloths from England, and we could not compete with them. See, as far as the spinning and weaving are concerned, spinning tends to be more centralized and weaving is more decentralized. Spinning is centralized, the reason being because it requires precision, it requires skill. And as far as the weaving being decentralized is concerned, weaving has been decentralized to accommodate different designs, right, from different parts of the country. Cotton textiles. The first cotton textile mill was set up in Mumbai in 1854. The cotton textile is mainly located in Maharashtra and Gujarat because availability of raw cotton as black cotton soil is present, good transport facility including port facilities, availability of labor, good moist climate, main export to Japan, USA, UK, France, Sri Lanka, Nepal, East European countries, etc. Cotton textile is produced by three methods in India: handloom, power looms, and mills. Cotton textile industries involves ginning, spinning, weaving, dyeing, designing, tailoring, and packaging to produce ready-made garments. So all the processes. So it's a complete cycle industry, and we can say the yarn is exported to Japan, and the cotton goods are exported to USA, UK, Russia, France, East European countries, Nepal, Singapore, Sri Lanka, and African countries. The challenges to cotton textile industry: scarcity of good quality cotton. Main cotton growing area went to Pakistan during the partition. Old machinery, right? Erratic power supply, the power supply is not regular, low output from labor, tough competition from synthetic fibers. So we discussed till this much, and the remaining part we shall discuss in the here we see the location of textile industry on the political map of India: Kanpur, Indore, Surat, Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Coimbatore, Madurai. So the remaining part we shall discuss in the next video. Thank you.